right, guys, here we go. It's been really interesting to see how this match has been going so far for tonight. We are 3 rounds done so far, and round 4 is about to start. So this is going to be really fun to be able to see. We've had some really interesting matchups so far as well. I mean, we saw round 1, Kaisa and Garen. Little bit of a disappointment there, but there's 2 Garens that actually were brought into this, which is really interesting and something to consider as well. Something that I didn't necessarily expect in this case, but that's exactly where we are. It's been also really interesting to be able to see how this meta has been going as well. We had a lot of decks that were able to show out for this. And so, for example, 30% of the field tonight, 153 decks are going to be Kaisa. And then again, 27% are going to be Master Yi. Now, of course, Master Yi is probably one of the more consistent decks as well. Just very strong ability with the legends and all of that jazz. Kaisa's removal and the fact that it can send in a lot of things accelerated and have something like Thousand Tail Watcher to be able to rush him for that little extra bit can make a really big difference. Now, with that being said as well, we do have, 70 Victors, which is 13% of the field, and then 24 Aries, which is about 5%. After that, then of course we have Set, we have Teemo, we have Misfortune, all around 20, 23 decks that are a part of it, and even 16 that are going in for the Jinx as well. It's a late night, guys. We are currently at 12:30 a.m. I am 33 years old and not much of a night owl anymore, but here we are trying to avoid the need for caffeine because I do have to get up early tomorrow and be able to film something with Counterfeit as well. Really great guy. Casted with him at the Rift Lab trials and a lot of fun stuff. So we are in the process of currently waiting for the matches to start. And again, just like I said, this is going to be round 4 of the matches, and it's been really good. Started round 1 with Kaisa versus Garen, then round 2 was Yasuo and Volibear. Really good match, and you got to really see what Yasuo was able to do. This is the difficult part about this also, because the Yasuo was able to do a lot, move around a lot, show what it's capable of doing. At the same time, though, against a Volibear, rightfully so, that is a pretty good matchup. Going against a Kaisa, I would like to see what it would be actually able to do. Now, with Yasuo, of course, there were 3 decks out of the 509 that were brought in. Rightfully so, in the 3rd round, we saw Kaisa v. Annie as well, and Annie was a really interesting matchup with that and was able to do a lot. And the biggest question, of course, is when Annie's able to be on, it can be an absolutely dominant deck. It can get a lot done. It can get some insane movements, but at the same time, when you start to kind of flop with Annie, when Annie doesn't necessarily get the ideal hands, when it has, a little struggle maybe maintaining draw, how is it able to then go ahead and go against something like a Master Yi or a Kaisa, for example? And in the Kaisa match, we were able to see that, well, if Annie kind of seems to fall behind a little bit, or especially in like game 2, for example, where both battlefields just were the same exact one, and you could just go ahead and bounce back, a unit to base in safety there, that's very difficult to try to get around. And so this meta is still a very interesting one, something that is in the process of still being discovered here. And so I'm going to be curious to see how it continues to go. Now, of course, with that as well, Darius has been a really interesting one. We had 11 decks, or about 2.2% of the field, that has been Darius. Really interesting idea right there. It's going to be really interesting to see if he's able to go ahead and not only just make the top 64, but maybe even make the top 10. That'd be something to be seen as well, because there is a lot of Viktor. And of course, like I say, Viktor is much more of a consistent player. He's able to be, as a legend, just a very good hit the ground running, get some great momentum going. I can play you a bunch of different ways where I can either go the vision route, I can go the token route, I can do whatever I necessarily need to do to get things moving. So really interesting gameplay with all of that as well. So it'll be fun to see how that ends up going. Darius is a little bit more of the risk and reward, where you might be struggling on potentially the good draws. you might be relying a little bit on Baited Hook as well, which is a great card for these scenarios. But still, really fun stuff as we continue to go. It does really suck that this is out in China and not here, though, because, man, I want it to be October really bad right now to be able to go ahead and, just play this game in person. We play on Tabletop Simulator, TCG Arena, and stuff like that. I've casted a bunch of rounds with Rift Labs and Rift Lab clashes as well. It's been really cool to just be a part of this community and really get to know it as well. So here we go. Looks like we are going ahead and getting started with this match. Two judges stand by as both these people, Asuka, going against someone else. Now, this is really interesting too, just because the production value here has been pretty good. The difficult part about this is, of course, we are going to be watching overhead. We might not necessarily hear or even know what necessarily the judges are going to be talking about if there are rulings like that as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of this kind of goes about. And so, again, this is going to be round 4, so this will be a really big deciding factor here. And so battlefields, of course, after they are going to be selected, then after that, you will be able to go ahead and opt who goes first and second, and then they'll draw their 4 cards and start doing their mulligans. Now, I gotta say, I really do like the idea of Riftbound and the mulligans that they're actually doing here. And it looks like we got a Master Yi, really strong legend right here. Now, what is he going to be going against? And if it is a Kaisa, are we surprised? No, it is Viktor. That's Darius. Yes. Okay, cool. This is going to be awesome. Really excited about this to be able to see how this is going to go. Now, Darius, of course, is really good at getting the tokens going, getting a very wide board to try to attack in on, and especially defending. Now, that's going to be Master Yi's downfall here, is if the Darius can go ahead and get onto the battlefield, he can go ahead and fortify and hold back a lot to where you can have some really big advantages. Likewise, on the Master Yi side, the snap vines are going to be absolutely crucial as well to try to get those threats out. But again, if a lot of them are still kind of lower than normal, we might be in a little bit of trouble. So, of course, first battlefield is going to be the Dreaming Tree, and that is going to be the first time you choose a friendly unit or with a spell here, draw 1. Ooh, and then, of course, the camp, with the War Camp. So this one's really interesting too as well, because units here have +1. So this is, of course, going to be coming from the Darius side, who's hoping to get a lot of tokens here to be able to hold down the battlefields. And again, this might be a very big game here on who goes first, might very well be the one taking it. Likewise, though, Master Yi is going to need to be able to maintain a full hand, try to get as many responses as they can here to get things going. So here we go on the die roll, and it looks like a good roll where the Darius is going to be going first. And that is going to prove to be a really big advantage going against Master Yi. And so that's going to be the thing, too. They almost did the fist bump. And that's also something that's really interesting, that they do almost have to always do a fist bump and whatnot. You saw even in round 3 where they almost had to. And the judge even stopped the player from continuing until he did the fist bump. And so it's like, yeah, okay, cool, we'll do that. So again, we're looking at the starting hands, and we got the Poro in the starting hand. That is one of the best cards to go ahead and have. Also, the Kiana is really good as well. Kaisa in hand with this, and another Poro on the other side. Now, of course, with this Poro, if you do need to select it, then what this is going to be doing is causing you to recycle 1, whereas the other Poro that the Master Yi has in turn is Assault +1, which makes it a 3, or a Shield 1, which makes it a 3, but with Master Yi's ability, that can go up to 5, which in the early game is Prime. So it's going to be really interesting. And here's the tough part, because even the removal that Darius might be able to have, for example, might be a little bit difficult to try to get going here. This is going to be something that might struggle because of the counters of Defy and things like that. So you're not going to necessarily, be able to maintain a good hold with removal necessarily. And you already see Defies in hand on the Master Yi side. So it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to go. With that being said, though, again, going first is going to be absolutely crucial. And the Darius is going to be having now 2 of each. It's going to be pretty solid. Going to be able to take first. The War Camp isn't necessarily going to be something that that the Darius player needs to necessarily take in the beginning. Another Poro is going to be coming out and then going into the War Camp. Now, one of the biggest things that you do have to worry about here as well is potentially even going to be Charm. That's one of Master Yi's best abilities, because when they finally go to take a battlefield, they can do a lot of board control with Charm. Now, of course, there is only 3 in the 40 card deck, and so being able to go ahead and utilize those and find that balance there can be a little bit difficult. But no Charm in starting hand. Still, the Kiana could be something very good. Also, a Pit Rookie to go ahead and maybe even buff up, another unit here in this case. So Pit Rookie is probably one of the most played cards in the meta right now, because when you play me, buff another friendly unit, so you can add that to the Poro as well, and that's going to make it a 6 if you need to. So it looks like the Pit Rookie is going to be chosen in this case. And that is going to be a buff given to the Poro before it goes ahead and attacks in. So now it is going to be 3-4. And the Master Yi, of course, is going to be winning that exchange unless there are any responses. No cards, of course, are hidden in this case, but we do see a fun little card on the other side. That is going to be a Hex Tech Ray, if that is chosen to be played here. Oh, and it looks like, yeah, we are going to be going instead with a Hidden Blade. And that is going to be defied in this case. Now, that is going to cause for you to go ahead and recycle one on the defy. But still, being able to conquer that first battlefield is going to be absolutely crucial here on trying to get those points. And here comes the Hex Tech Ray. Was potentially trying to bait it out. Now, of course, this is the Darius ability that is so dang good with this, because what happens is it has it as a reaction, and it has Legion as well. Abilities and resources can't be reacted to and get the effect if you played a card this turn, which luckily with the Hidden Blade you were able to in this case. And then now the Hex Tech Ray was able to come out with the help of the extra rune power. I forget what that's called, mana, essentially, to be able to get that second card out. And so that's still going to be a really big deal. And so, yeah, they're going to be going in and talking about maybe the damages that could be done here. Now, at the same time, the big worry is going to be that Darius is now going to be down to 4 on this next turn when it comes to runes, and that might be something that really slows him down here, something that you got to be very mindful of. And so we do have the Hex Tech Ray that was able to deal the 3 damage, and that's going to be a big deciding factor, because, yeah, the Defy came out already, and so the Unguard is going to be coming out, which is going to be adding 2 as well, because it is the lone defending player. Now, of course, this is also really shrinking down the hands of both players in this case, trying to get things going. And so it'll be interesting to see how this continues to go. But the Poro and the Poro end up trading in this case, and that is a lot of cards gone out of both players' hands. But that's going to more so affect the Master Yi here. You still have a unit that is out on both sides. Can go ahead and take the War Camp, again, going up to 2 for the Darius, which is going to be a good job. And then 4, you could go with the Kaiser route, and that's going to be interesting. And, next turn, you very well could be going for a Darius as well with the Cleave, which would make it be a 10 might. Now, of course, that very well could be something that you just go ahead and save more so for a rainy day when maybe a Master Yi comes out and things of that nature, because Master Yi very well could be coming out this next turn. And so, yeah, it looks like the battlefield was taken by Pit Rookie, going up to 1. Now, of course, with Master Yi's Legend ability, that's going to make it a 4 might unit when defending. So, and then, of course, with 3 cards in hand. Now, that is going to be interesting, too. A Charm in hand as well. So the Poro could be moved over to the other battlefield in this case. And it looks like, yeah, we are going to be buffing it up. So now it is going to have +2 might added to it. And you are going to be able to draw a card off of that as well. And so that's going to be good to try to continue to fill up the hand. So the card are going to stay out to stay on the stack. Ooh, and a protector is going to be drawn from that. Good to get that out of the way. Now that the card is fully resolved, you can put it away. And now a charm is going to be coming out, and that is going to make it a 6 in this case. Now, when you select when you select it on the second turn, in this case, or when you hold here, draw. No, that's the wrong one. Dreaming Tree is when you choose a friendly unit here, you get to draw an additional one as well. So that's going to be another card that is able to be drawn. And this is how fast, especially with this battlefield out, you can go ahead and get things going with this. Now, of course, 3 runes still remain. And it's like, ooh, go ahead and grab the Kaisa now. Is there going to be any response here with that as well? And unfortunately, being tapped out, you're not going to be able to use the Darius ability in this case. You could have activated the cleave with the start of a showdown in this case. But unfortunately, with no runes to be used, that is going to be a Kaisa gone. And that's one of the biggest things about Master Yi here is the charms can go ahead and grab the dangerous things that very well could be, making your life difficult essentially as well. Ooh, and you could go with an hourglass hidden as well if you so choose. And that looks like exactly what he is going to be doing here, recycling one. He might be wondering, like, wait, Master Yi is playing a hidden card, and it's like, yeah, that's a very easy thing to forget. You picture, that the hourglass, is a gear, and it's one of the only gears that actually has a hidden ability. Most of the time, that's going to be a spell in this case. So it's just a little interesting that, yeah, that's not going to be happening. So we see the Darius having a pretty difficult hand right now. You could still go ahead and get the Darius, play the cleave in this case, go up to 10 might to really try to get yourself out of some trouble. You see that your opponent has 2 cards in hand, 2 units at the battlefield now. Pit Rookie going back to base won't necessarily be respawned in, essentially. It's just going to be moved back to base, and the Hourglass dies in its place. So the buff +1 necessarily won't be activated again, so that's going to be good news on that part. But still, this seems like it's going to be a really difficult turn for the Darius, even though it is currently 3-1. It looks like, yeah, we are going to be going ahead and playing the Darius and going with the cleave for the +3 and then moving in. And so that is going to be 10-4 currently. And so if there's anything that needs to be added in this case, that's going to be exactly what you're going to want to do. Now, of course, at the same time, this is going to be the hard part because in the hand, having the Protector, having the Kiana, yes, that is good in this case somewhat, but you really want to try to have some additional responses. He doesn't have the rune count to be able to go and play Master Yi this next turn either, which is going to be really difficult. And the Hourglass is going to be forcing the Pit Rookie to go back to base and automatically sacking the Hourglass. So at least you have some moves that you might be able to do, but still, that's going to be 4 in that case. And the Yi does not have the answers needed to be able to continue to move here. So we are currently about 9 minutes into the match, and so that's going to be an interesting situation here, and especially with both battlefields under control. Darius now at 4. It's going to be a bigger and bigger gap as things continue to get away from Master Yi. Now, again, the card draw might be in a little bit difficult situation, and going to be going up to 5 is all. That's difficult. And, you're at least able to find some, the first mate, which can go ahead and ready a unit when it comes in. But still, again, the rune count is still incredibly low. So maybe you can do a Kiana. But even then, that's about it. The Darius does have one at the ready, so very well could be a Hextech Ray that you might be assuming that your opponent has. One has already been played. So maybe not. 2 more. Potentially 2 more at least. But it's like, yeah, if I go ahead and try to attack into the Poro in this case, do you have the Hextech Ray? Or actually, yeah, the Poro pulled back. So yeah, that is going to be a point. Missed that. So that is going to be a hold there. And this has also been without baited hook as well. If you go ahead and start playing Darius with baited hook and you get that out, especially in game one, that can really make a big difference. Now, of course, you do almost want to play it with the war camp, for example, because if you start getting tokens built up, the 1 might units, you can send them into the war camp, then go ahead and sack them with the baited hook, and then be able to look for something for 3 might or less in the top 5 cards. So really great stuff right there. And it looks like the Kiana is going to be getting played as well. And this is going to be a very difficult situation. The Kiana is at least is going to be able to maybe, if they conquer, be able to draw draw a card or channel a rune. But still, this is going to be an interesting situation. The Darius is, of course, going to hold. Now, the fun part about this is Darius can go ahead and even pull back. You can play 2 cards. Darius can then come in readied with 7 might, which could be a pretty big thing on trying to get some responses here. And so I'm going to be curious to see maybe how this is going to go for these competitors here, what might be able to happen. But still, there is a lot of game to be had, and it looks like they are going to be hard casting the Shin here. So really interesting stuff. Now, Shin is a really fun ability or unit here, because what it actually is shield +2 while he's a defender, tank as well, and you can even play it as a reaction. So really interesting idea. And then looks like both are going to be pulled back in this case, and the Darius is going to be able to go in for 7. And so 7-2, not going to necessarily be able to have the answers. And of course, the war camp adds 1 as well, but that's almost kind of negated in this case because it is 1-1. Still can make a difference, but with no cards even being activated, in this case, that is going to be 6-2 right now for Darius. The Master Yi player, of course, is not necessarily looking good. The Kiana is going to be a little bit helpful, maybe on going over to the Dreaming Tree to try to maybe get a rune exhausted, or even potentially, even another card in hand. So then there's the Wind Wall. And it's like, do you go even like you can't go Master Yi this turn. They don't necessarily have a whole lot of answers, unfortunately. And so you can go the Kiana, because they're going to go to 7. And they're preparing to take the second battlefield in this case. And if they're able to, that's going to be a win right there. And so that's going to be the difficult part of this situation here, is what can you kind of do? You're able to draw another card to maybe get an answer, but the Darius is going to be at 5. 3 runes that are left at the ready on the Darius side. So this is a very dangerous board state currently right now. And so it looks like the first mate is potentially going to be coming out, probably to ready the Kiana, but that's not going to necessarily be anything to write home about, especially because Kiana doesn't have ganking or anything like that. But this is going to just be a little bit of a switcheroo in this case, because the first mate can be played into an occupied battlefield, but still, this is not looking good. Going up to 7 now for the hold as well. So that's going to be a great turn of events right now. And then also we have the Grand Stratagem, I think, still in hand, if I remember correctly. And so the Darius is readied up right now, can be moved back if need be. And if 2 cards are played, then the Darius could very well be taken care of. You've already occupied the battlefield, essentially. So if you can get 2 out, you're looking good. So there's 1. And then Grand Stratagem to go ahead and ready the Darius up, adding +5. That's going to be making it 12. And it's like, yeah, that's going to quite literally just be it right there. And rightfully so. That's going to be game 1 going to the Darius player. And yeah, the Master Yi, again, that's sometimes what's going to happen if there is a big exchange with Master Yi, and the Yi ends up losing the exchange. The momentum can be devastatingly lost in that case, and it can be such a difficult thing to try to come back from that. That's going to be one of the hardest parts here about that. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this game is going to go with the Yi going first. He had the Poro in hand game one, but there was still that big exchange that ended up happening. The Yi used a lot of cards. His Defy, he used Discipline even. He used the Charm, the Unguard. A lot of cards in hand, a lot of utilization that he tried to get going. And when you lose that exchange as Master Yi, that can really change the momentum here. And that's exactly what you saw. The Darius was able to continue to get things moving, and that was Darius without baited hook. So it's going to be really interesting to see what these competitors side here in this case. And that's what I'm kind of worried about. We don't know the deck lists for either of these competitors in this case. And so, Sabotage is something that's usually in hand, but that only targets non-units. Unyielding Spirit won't necessarily do much in this place. Maybe Wielder of Water to help get into the battlefields against Darius. But again, it just depends on what they're even citing in this case. And again, if baited hook does end up coming out and you don't have any gear removal, then you might be finding yourself in a pretty difficult situation. So I'm going to be curious to see how this is going to go, what is going to be happening here, and if we are going to be able to get this going. I'm curious. So the competitors are currently sighting out, and I just got to say, guys, this production here just looks incredibly good. The stage looks amazing. The graphics and everything, the promos, everything on here just looks really professional, really good. And I mean, this is a game that has just come out, but they have put so much time into getting this going. So just really cool stuff to be able to see how all of this is going to go. Currently 1 a.m. here. I'm tired. We're probably only going to be, going through this one match tonight, unfortunately. Would really love to see the rest of it, but I doubt that's going to be happening. But yeah, we'll definitely be rewatching 4, 5, 6, or we'll definitely be watching 5, 6, and 7 of the rounds as well, and possibly bringing all that content to you. Because guys, this is exciting. This is just really cool to be able to see what is going on here with this meta. Again, it's a little bittersweet because they're getting to actually play the game and help define the meta, but it's a really interesting dynamic because a lot of people over in China are seeing our tabletop simulator tournaments here in America. They probably, if I remember right, they saw the Rift Lab tournaments and the deck list. Piltover Archive is able to be used as well. So a lot of decks are being tested over there as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the rest of this ends up going because we're both kind of feeding off of each other. When I saw the first place Kaisa deck last week with the other regionals in China, it went really well. And that's been the deck I've been kind of testing in my own tournaments and leagues that I've been running as well. And it's been actually pretty consistent and really good. I've liked the balance. The Icathian Rain was really good as well. Just maining one in the deck has actually ended up saving me multiple times, even against a Kaisa mirror match here. So that was really interesting. So here we go into game number 2, and we'll see what this is going to be. Now, Darius, of course, took game 1 in this case, and so still a lot of gameplay left to be had. And so I'm going to be curious to see what is going to be the outcome here. Yi is going to be going first in this case. At least that's my guess here. And that can be a really big decision to be made. And so with that being said, we'll see what battlefields are going to be revealed as well. They already have been, but they didn't do a close-up on them this time. Pit Rookie is going to be an okay option here. Okay, it looks like we have Grove of the God Willows, which is when you hold here, draw a card. And that can be very beneficial to both competitors here, and especially with the Yi player going first, that's going to be big. Now on the other side, come on, tell me. I want to see this. Let's see. Could be Arena's greatest. Usually that's a going second. So it looks like the mulligan is going to be 2 in this case. And that's the biggest thing, and that can be a big risk as well, because if you do put 2 on the bottom, you're never going to be seeing those cards again, or probably not. And so if you're running a 2 of and you put one of them on the bottom of the deck, that can be very detrimental to you. But here we go. The fist bumps have commenced, and we are starting the second game of Darius versus Master Yi. And we're already seeing a defiant hand of the Master Yi. That's going to be really good. He does have the 2-drop with the Pit Rookie, so that's going to be at least a good move. And yeah, it looks like, yeah, we are playing Arena's Greatest, which each player gains 1 point at the start of their first turn. And the Poro he was able to find to go ahead and get things going. So, I mean, being able to hold that battlefield is going to be absolutely insane. Grove of the God Willow, if he can just continue to get the cards going there, that is going to be a game changer. And that is a good turn right there. And that can be the power of Darius. Acting as though I have 4 runes when really I only have 3. And look at that, 6 might just like that onto the battlefield. The Poro being able to maybe have the recycle here of the hourglass could be interesting. Now, of course, the Defy is still going to help, but that is going to be 6 that is going to be coming out to that Poro. So you're going to be wanting to maybe try to figure out how that's going to go. The Poro doesn't have Assault 1. It is just Shield 1. And so that's why it is such a good... that one is Assault 1, the one that the Darius has. And so it looks like, yeah, we are going to be going ahead and charming over. The opponent is completely tapped out as the Darius player, so anything that you go ahead and play here is not going to be able to be responded to. And so taking out that Noxus is going to be a really big move right there to try to get things going. The Noxus Hopeful is now dead. There is no hope that remains. So that's going to be a really big turn, because it's like you still have a lot of removal that you could potentially utilize, but there is potential for the Defy in hand. So Pit Rookie is going to be coming out, buffing up the Poro as well. And you do not want to have him hold there, but, you know, that's how it is. And so it's going to be really interesting, because the Darius was the one that went ahead and played Arena's Greatest here. And especially when going second, you know, Master Yi can move so incredibly fast that you find yourself almost trying to play catch up, especially when going first. And I mean, like we said, we still have the Defy in hand. We could play the Hourglass by recycling 1 instead of paying 2. That can be really good as well. But it looks like there is just going to be a pass here in this case, just in case. I mean, rightfully so, already being down to 3 runes. Any more would be a little bit of a loss as well. And the Vanguard Captain in hand. So if the Darius can find a second card, and he already will be able to, now the Vanguard Captain will be able to go out and creating 2 more tokens in this case. But that is going to be a Defy. That is going to be negating the second card, because no first card has now officially been played. And so hopefully he knows that. And doesn't go ahead and try to play the captain thinking that he's safe. And so this is going to be a difficult thing. Needs to figure out potentially how to go ahead and get into this game. And it's like, do you go ahead and play the Vanguard captain knowing full well... I might be checking on the ruling here, because, yeah, the Void Seeker is not... so they did have to take that back, because that card was defied. It does not count as a card played at that point. So the Poro is going to be moving over. Any response? Nope, not in this case. And so, yeah, that is a very big thing. And we saw already last week, we saw a really big misplay on that, because someone thought it was a second card there. They played their Darius out expecting it to be readied up, and it wasn't. And so that was a very big misplay that ended up actually costing a game. So luckily, not as much at stake in that regard as what we previously had seen. So that's good. But still, yeah, you got to be very careful about that, because, yeah, Defy completely negates even the card being counted as being played. And so still a Darius on the side of the field. That is 4 going up to 6 for the Darius player on runes next turn. And so a little bit of a rune advantage against compared to the Master Yi player. But the Master Yi player's bread and butter is around 5 runes anyway. There is a lot of magic that the Master Yi player can work. And so it'll be really interesting to see how this will end up playing out then. Pit Rookie can still go in. And they do have responses. And so if they go ahead, it looks like that they have the discipline. Yeah, they have a discipline in hand. So they can go ahead and add to might, going up to 4 in this case, and also drawing a card. The Poro is going to be gone in this case, so that's going to be a big deal as well. And so going up to 3, going up 4-2 right now, another charm in play, and that can really, and I mean really, slow down the Darius player here. Nothing on board necessarily, and so yeah, just going to go ahead and use the final 2 to play the Hourglass outright. Nothing to necessarily worry about there. The buff is going to be taken away because it was only until the end of the turn. And so this is a difficult situation. Now, of course, the Darius could be played from the side of the field in this case. But, I mean, and you don't want to play... That's going to be... Cola is going to be a great way to at least activate the Hourglass here, because it's just the next unit that dies, it goes back to base. You don't have a choice with that. So Pit Rookie is going to be going ahead and being activated there. The Darius is going to then be able to be utilized. The Darius comes in as the second card being used. It's at 7, and you can now go in. Master Yi has 0 runes in hand, and so that is going to be 7 versus 5. And so, yeah, that's going to be a take right there. That's going to be a great move and a strong standing right there, trying to get things moving again. And so, great job there. Pit Rookie isn't necessarily in a great spot yet, because even if they go ahead and take the other battlefield and then try to use the charm, that's only going to be 4 to the 5. And 2 charms in hand is going to be a little bit difficult to maybe go around. So, potentially, you might just go ahead and play the Clockwork Keeper, sacrificing a tapped rune to try to draw a card to see maybe if you can get some kind of discipline or some on guard or something along those lines. Primal Strength if you're running it, but Primal Strength, of course, at that point would be... No, you have enough for Primal. You could still play Primal Strength in that case. So yeah, it looks like that's exactly what he's going to be doing. Going to go ahead and recycle 1 to draw 1 to try to get those answers that you need. And it is going to be a Protector. That is not what you want to see right now. I mean, better to get it out now at least than drawing it at your next upkeep, but that is not what you want right there. That is a tough situation. And yeah, it looks like the Pit Rookie is just going to go ahead and take. You're at least at 5 points as a Master Yi player, which is, you know, nothing to bat an eye at. Your opponent with the Darius and only a Darius on board is going to be at 4. And so also drawing a card for holding, though, that is going to be scary, because that can be a lot, especially with 3 cards in hand as the Darius player. Going up to 5, that can be scary. I'm also very surprised that we haven't necessarily seen any Snapvines yet. That's been really surprising. So is the Charm going to be coming out, or is the Kiana? Ooh. That is such a difficult call. And yeah, it looks like exactly so. You're going to be going with the Kiana instead. Now, again, that is going to be another turn that the Yi player is going to be tapped out. That's going to be scary. That's going to be something to... Oh, and then the Kaisa on the top of the Darius deck. So you could go ahead and even play the Kaisa at the ready as well for 5 if needed. Now, of course, that is going to be all but 1. But that's actually one of the older cards. I think if I remember right, that deals 3, and if you kill the unit, then you get ahead and draw a card after that, if I remember correctly. And so let's go ahead and find it, because I know it. Yep, Disintegrate. So deal 3 to a unit at a battlefield. If it kills it, draw a card. Yep. So great play right there to be able to get that. And then goes the Vanguard Captain. The Darius then gets readied. It's +2 as well. Is able to go ahead and take the other battlefield as well. Going up to 5. That is going to be a big turn. And already with a lot on the field as well, that's going to be interesting. Now the Kiana at least will be able to go over and be able to gain a card and even see, and there is the Snapvine as well. And so this could actually be a really interesting turn, because you could go Kiana, over to the battlefield. Then you could play the Snapvine in there. Go ahead and maybe play it in the battlefield. I don't know if that would necessarily be the best play. Playing the Snapvine in the battlefield, deal 3 to the Vanguard Captain. It deals 3 damage in that case. But especially with your opponent tapped out, yeah, you don't need to necessarily do that. So yeah, you can go ahead and just play the Snapvine in base. Go ahead and take out the Vanguard Captain. Play Charm, move the Darius over, and you'd be sitting in a really good spot right there. So there we go. There it comes down. You're going to have to recycle 2 with the Snapvine, but it deals damage to a challenging. And it looks like the Darius is going to be selected here. Interesting. And you can still go ahead and also charm the. You could still charm. I don't necessarily love that as much. I mean, I guess you're doing the same thing all in all. Both battlefields are going to need to be taken here as well. And it's like, gosh, do you go ahead and even just try to use the additional charm to even take out another token as well instead? You can't with being tapped out, but I'm wondering if you could in this case, would you? And so that's going to be a big deal. 2 tokens and going up to 8 runes or 7 runes in this case. Still a lot of game. Disintegrate could be a big factor. Also having, the grand stratagems could go ahead and take this back. You do have the Snapvine that can just go ahead and take back a battlefield pretty much right away. And then you have, no, they have to take both. That's going to be the biggest thing. And Yi players do not have a lot of readied players here, but the biggest thing is the Master Yi from Asuka hasn't necessarily been utilized yet. And so, yeah, it looks like the Disintegrate is going to be activated again to draw another card. And that's going to be good on that part. But still, I think, yeah, he's just going to go ahead and scoop it. He doesn't think that he can have it here in this case. And, yeah, that's a difficult situation. Because, yeah, if you go ahead and the ganking and everything that Master Yi would also be able to do is going to be the thing that really gets it moving. And dang, just a really good play right there. Master Yi has now taken game number 2, and we have one more game as both players are going to be going into another side. Now, sometimes going in from game 2 to game 3, you might keep the same cards in the deck. You might not be siding anything out. Now, for those of you who might not know, you do get 8 cards in the side deck. And so this is going to be something that's going to be really interesting to try to utilize as well, because it can be a little bit up in the air on what you even have and what you can even use in this situation. And again, unfortunately, we don't have the deck lists, but still, it's going to be really interesting. And you get to see also kind of the control, especially Master Yi can have as a player or as a legend when going first. You get the Poro in hand. You get, even just a regular 2-drop. If you go Pit Rookie and things of that nature, as long as you're able to put something out onto a battlefield, you're like, hey, guess what? I gain a point. Now what are you going to do about my situation? Oh, you want to try this? Well, guess what? I have Unguard. Hey, I have Discipline. Hey, I have Charm to take care of stuff. And that's going to be one of the more devastating things as well, is when you go ahead and play a Charm on like a Kaisa, where you slow play it out against the Master Yi player. You really can't do that, because you're just going to be punished so bad if they have a Charm in hand. And again, those defies against Darius, against Kaisa and things of that nature can really slow them down. And that's exactly why with Kaisa, for example, wanting to go ahead and play Falling Star, because that can't be countered by Defy in this case. So here we go, guys. Going into game 3, Darius took game 1. Master Yi took game number 2. And here we go into game number 3 to decide this. I'm going to be curious to see who's going to actually win this matchup. It's going to be a fun one. Both players have been able to go ahead and get things going. But again, this time the Darius will be going first, but they don't necessarily have a whole lot in hand. Starting off with the captain, at least, is going to be good, but still not best. And there's another Poro in hand. That's going to be awesome. And yeah, it looks like the Primal Strength is actually being played. That's a really good looking hand. Sure, there's no defies, which is something that you do want to keep in mind, depending, but still. It's not early. But yeah, we'll see how this ends up going as we go into game number 3. I don't have giant bags under my eyes. You guys are just, you know. Here we go. And yeah, it looks like, oh, starting with an extra one. That is going to be an absolutely great starting point for the Darius player. I mean, for Master Yi, though, that's going to be a little scary as well. And starting out with the Shin is going to be scary because if he can go ahead and take a battlefield, that can be scary. Now, Shin, of course, does have tank and all of that jazz. Now, with that as well, has shield +2, which can be a very big difference maker. Now, here we go with the wielder of water as well. And so he's going to be starting with 4. And then on top of that, we on the other side have the one that sends them back to base. Let me look up that battlefield. I know what it does. I just can't remember the name. So that's the hard part. I played it earlier today. Reaver's Row. That's right. I played it earlier today. It's in my deck. So yeah, Shin with +2 is going to be a big deal. And going over there, that's going to be also a really big deal as well. Now, Primal Strength can be a big deciding factor. But being able to even just get your cards back to your base without them actually being destroyed can be a really big difference maker. But again, this is a battlefield that could very well benefit both competitors here. And that's why you got to be so careful and calculated about what battlefields you utilize, because you could be finding yourself in a very difficult situation otherwise and just almost digging yourself a hole if you're helping out your opponent way too much by the battlefield you're even selecting. And so having the correct battlefields in this case are going to be a big deal. So, of course, the wielder of water is going to be going up to 4 in this case. And so that is going to be 4 to 5. And so an Unguard is going to be coming out, going to 6. And then we are going to also be seeing that going, targeting the wielder of water. Is there going to be a defy in hand? And I don't think so at this point. But also giving Master Yi 2 cards to hand is going to be a big difference maker here as well. And so it looks like, yeah. But again, that is going to be slow. Drawing 2 Kianas, though, getting that out of the way, not good, but at least you dug into your deck to be able to get those cards into hand instead of waiting 2 turns before seeing something else. Because, man, if he had to hard draw that, that would be slow. So still going to be able to play the Kiana in this case. That's going to be a good thing to try to get things moving this next turn. Still 1 untapped rune in this case, and the Darius player is going to be up to 5. So, and so yeah, let's see. So the Shin is going to be readied up. Then the 2 runes are going to be able to be active here in this case. Going to be also gaining 1. Or that's not Reaver's Row. It's when you hold here, channel an additional rune. Which one is that called? Oh, wait, no, that is that. Yeah, Star Tip Peak. Yeah, okay. So that's not, or that is Star Tip Peak. Yeah, okay, cool. That art, just that distance. It looked like the 2 ships in between because it has the light right in the middle. And so from all the way back here, it didn't look like, I didn't think it would be Star Tip Peak. That makes a lot of sense. I thought it was Reaver's Row. So yeah, that's a big difference maker though, too, getting the extra 1. And so the Darius is already going to be passing 2-0 right now. And we'll see what kind of response we're going to be able to have here. And so a lot of utilization. Primal can be a very big difference maker here if they go ahead and choose to use that. But again, if they have another hidden blade or something, that can also be a devastating thing to go against. And so do you go ahead and play out, like another Kiana just in case? Because Cole wouldn't do anything here. Cole has to be played not as a reaction, but on your turn specifically. So Cole won't be coming out in this case. So you're trying to play through what's going to be happening with what my opponent could potentially have. Yeah, so because that's just a regular spell, there's no reaction to it. So the Kiana is going to go ahead and take over the battlefield here in this case, and going to be able to channel a rune or draw a card. And the Blitzcrank is going to be coming out. That's going to be a really big difference maker right there because it can grab the Shin, pull him over, and then it also has tank. So it will take the damage first. So it's kind of an unusual card for a Master Yi to be playing it because it counteracts Yi's ability. And so that can be a very difficult thing. So that's going to be 3 damage instead. So it looks like Hex Tech Ray is going to be coming out for 1 and being able to recycle. And so that will at least take out the Blitzcrank, but still, when all is said and done, still having the Kiana and a Shin taken care of in this case is going to be a really big difference maker because that could be enough to go ahead and get the hole going. Now, there is the discipline as well to be able to add +2 to the Blitzcrank, pretty much negating what the Hex Tech Ray is trying to do, and even drawing an Unguard on top of that. Really great job right there. So 3 damage to 3 damage, so that's going to put him then at 6 in this case. But, I mean, already going to still be enough with the Unguard. And that is just going to be the pure exchange here at this point. So that's not going to be able to do much. The Blitzcrank can go back to hand at this point. And that can be very devastating here for the Darius player. So yeah, probably just trying to figure out right now what's going to be happening here. Has still 4 runes left. Do I go ahead and play another card during this exchange? And it looks like, yeah, Disintegrate here at this point is going to be coming out to deal 3 damage. And if you go ahead and destroy that unit, then you're going to be able to go ahead and draw a card off of that as well. So the Darius has already taken 3 damage. It's going to be taking 3 more. It won't be enough to actually destroy it. Still, it's 1 away, so the Shin at least will be able to destroy it. But that trade is going to be a very devastating trade here for the Darius player. Now, of course, he still, has Darius that he can go ahead and put out onto the battlefield, and having 7 runes as well is going to be a pretty big difference making here as well. So you can play a Poro, for example, then you can go ahead and play the Darius. The Darius is going to be going up to 7 in this case. And you can even use the Darius, for example, to eat up one of the runes needed to go ahead and play it. So that's exactly what he's going to be doing here. Darius is going to be ready up, going up 7 to 6 in this case, but the Master Yi is completely tapped out, so there's nothing that he can do about it. It's gone at this point, and that is going to be a good point for Darius as well, especially because there's not necessarily anything out. Now, Master Yi can still come out, but there is still 1 left, 1 untapped rune, so if it is a Hex Tech Ray, the top deck, ooh, that is going to be scary because you could go ahead instead and play that unit into the battlefield. I'm actually surprised he's playing that even as the side. That is expensive. Recycling 2 as well for that, but that will automatically take it. So it's either going to be pretty much a trade or a take at that point. So that's going to be the hard part. I almost think, yeah, you need to go against the you need to play the Dead Bloom at this point. But instead, yeah, opting into the Yi, that's still going to be pretty good because it is going to be able to move into the battlefield as needed. Also, we'll have ganking as well. So going to be going into there. That is going to be 6 to 5 in this case. And it is a Hex Tech Ray that is going to be coming out, dealing 3. So this is going to be a trade, if anything. So that's going to be 3 damage on Yi. Would need to buff. The Unguard would be able to do so. That is so tough. That's the one thing. Master Yi being at 7 is just enough. And so, yeah, it looks like both are going to be trading here. Now, that is tough, especially with the Poro being out onto the battlefield here. Oh, again, that's pretty much the only readied unit there at that point that the Master Yi unit actually, or the Master Yi player actually has here. And that is devastating. And so the Poro is going to be able to go in at that point. If it holds, it will be able to channel an additional rune Exhausted. I really don't think this player, as the Darius player, is playing a baited hook in this point, which is really interesting as well. Now, Draven coming out is going to be really good. That is going to be +4 added. So it is going to be a 7 might unit, which can be very difficult. And then a Vanguard Captain to add 2 tokens out as well. Really good move right there. A big battlefield that has been built. And this is basically going to be a rebuild phase almost. Now, of course, you do see that they do have a first mate, which can go ahead and ready. They have 2 first mates in there. And then they also are going to be going up to 8, 9? Yeah, 9 rooms here. And so we'll see what's able to happen. But right now, it's looking really good for the Darius player. That board state is going to be absolutely scary. And then if the Poro ends up holding, the Draven is going to be going up even an additional 1. As each point that ticks up, the Draven gets more and more powerful. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be 4 for the Kiana. Then we're going to go ahead and play the first mate to ready up. And then move into the other battlefield that is not occupied. So really interesting right there. Oh, going in for the attack on the Poro. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. You don't want to give your opponent the extra card, yeah. For some reason, I was acting. I am tired. I thought like the Draven was there. Ew, it's time for bed. Gosh, if I was on the East Coast, it would already be 3:30 a.m. So count that blessing, I guess. So again, though, the Darius player is in a really good situation right now. Not going to be going up to 5, but still being able to go ahead and even potentially take both is going to be a big deal. Also going up to 7 as well. So we're going to see that go ahead and go up to 5. Draven's going to get stronger at that point. Move all the tokens. They have a 5 token. That's awesome. And then go ahead and move in. So right now, that is pretty big. That is going to be 8 to 6. Now, of course, with that, they do have some responses with Unguard. That's going to be adding 2 at that point. So that is going to be 8 to 8. And so it's like, well, I am completely untapped. Need to play reaction here. Can't play actions. He's already past priority. Can't play actions. Can only play reactions, if any, if he has any. And again, this is how scary it can be to go against Master Yi. Because these kinds of responses can absolutely devastate your board state. And he still has a Dead Bloom in hand as well, so even if it is a trade or whatever it might be, and it looks like it is in this case, that's going to still be a really big turn. Going to be able to go up to 6. This is going to be a little bit of a hole that Master Yi is finding himself in, but still, that was a big board to be in. And then another Draven coming out onto the battlefield. That is going to be 6 added, going up to 9 might. And that very well could just now have sealed this match. Draven is just such a good card. You definitely don't want him in the beginning hand, but that's how it is. I mean, Dead Bloom is probably going to be one of the better actions here at this point. just because you can play it onto an occupied battlefield. And so that's going to be a big thing. So it looks like the first mate is going to be moving in. And it's like, yeah, do you just go ahead and take both and say, well, let's see if you have it? Because you definitely don't want your opponent to go up to 7. That's going to be a big thing right there. Don't want to go up to 7. I think you do have to play the dead blue. But that is a hard choice. Not that you have to worry about recycling, but if these are dealt with properly, we are going to be finding ourselves in big trouble here as the player. Again, these point deficits are going to be a big difference maker right now. You could go with the charm as well. There's still 2, but at least the dead bloom has deflect. Still not going to be opting into the charm. There is going to be 3. And, oh, that is going to be interesting. Adding +5 to both units is going to be a fun play. So going ahead and doing a count, there's a lot of cards in the discard at this point. So yeah, it looks like maybe a grand stratagem is coming out. That is gonna be a lot. 5 added. Yeah, he's like, okay then. So the Draven, I mean, is gonna be going up to that, and that very well could be sealing this game. And so it's like, yeah, can't and you can't defy it as well either. And so that's gonna be a big difference maker. So that is 11 added to the Darius at that point. Going into the Dead Bloom. So that's going to be 14 to 8. Primal would be the only thing that can go ahead, and he's 1 away from Primal. That is going to be absolutely devastating, knowing that you are just that 1 rune away from being able to do that. And you know, if he goes ahead and takes 1, that is going to be so hard to try to take back, because Yi has a lot of answers, but might not actually be able to have that answer to get over 11 might in that case. And so that's going to be a capture right there. And then that is going to be moving in as well. There we go with the discipline, being able to draw an additional card on top of that. And it's a Poro. He does not find the answer. He was looking for potentially an Unguard to be able to add to that as well. But that is going to be it. That is going to be a good game. And we see that the Darius was able to take down a Master Yi. Now that was absolutely awesome to be able to see that. And I mean, tough game, could have gone either way. The Dravens are the game changer here. Great job on being able to get that going. That is something that can be very beneficial even against a Kaisa. It's basically the Dr. Mundo of Orange in this case. And so really great stuff to be able to have that and try to get in on that. Draven can be a very dead card in the beginning, but still, when you get into that mid to late game, when you start getting to 4, 5, 6 points on the board, that Draven can be absolutely paramount on making it to where you can get those points, you can hold those battlefields, and every turn he gets that much better. So great job, great job. I am exhausted though. We are going to be going to sleep. Again, I do have to meet with Counterfeit in 8 hours and have some fun stuff coming for you there. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here, and can't wait to see you guys next time, especially when we get into the top cut as well. So a lot of exciting things coming your way. But until next time, guys, have a good one.